The stars looked the same from every angle in deep space. Tae-won had learned this during his 3 weeks alone in the diplomatic shuttle. He pressed his hand against the cool window and watched the distant lights. Earth had sent him with a simple mission: deliver humanity's response to the Galactic Council. The message was sealed in a data core behind him. He was just the delivery man. The shuttle's alarm broke the silence. Tae-won jumped in his seat and checked the displays. A massive ship had appeared on his sensors. It was bigger than anything Earth had ever built. The design was sharp and dangerous, like a blade cutting through space. Red lights pulsed along its hull. His computer translated the ship's designation, Crimson Talon, a military vessel. Tae-won's heart beat faster, but he took a deep breath. Panic never helped anyone. He opened a communication channel. "Hello, this is Diplomatic Courier Tae-won from Earth. I'm on a peaceful mission to the Galactic Council. Can I help you with something?" Static filled his speakers. Then a deep voice responded, but not in any language he knew. His computer scrambled to translate. "Human vessel. Power down your engines. Prepare for boarding. Resistance will result in destruction." Tae-won looked at his controls. The shuttle had no weapons. Running seemed pointless against a ship that size. He powered down his engines as instructed. "Okay, I'm complying. Just so you know, I'm not armed. I'm happy to answer any questions you have." The response came quickly. "Your compliance is noted. It changes nothing." A docking tube extended from the Crimson Talon and attached to his shuttle with a heavy clang. Tae-won unbuckled from his seat and stood near the airlock. He straightened his uniform jacket. His instructor at the Diplomatic Academy had always said first impressions mattered. He had no idea what was about to walk through that door, but being polite seemed like the best strategy. The airlock cycled open with a hiss of equalizing pressure. Steam poured into the shuttle. Through the mist, a figure emerged. Tae-won's eyes went wide. She was enormous. At least 8 feet tall, maybe taller. 4 arms extended from a torso covered in natural armor plating that looked like black ceramic. Her face was angular and sharp, with eyes that glowed a dim red. Patterns on her armor pulsed with light, shifting from deep red to bright orange. Behind her, 3 more figures waited in the docking tube. Smaller but similarly armored. The giant warrior stepped fully into the shuttle. The floor groaned under her weight. She stared down at Tae-won with those glowing eyes. Her lower arms rested near weapons on her belt. Her upper arms were crossed over her chest. Tae-won had never seen anything like her. His mind raced with questions. How did the armor grow? Was it biological or technological? What made the lights work? But he knew those questions could wait. He smiled and gave a small bow. "Welcome aboard." "On Tae-won?" I apologize for the cramped space. This shuttle wasn't designed for visitors, especially not someone of your impressive stature. The warrior's head tilted slightly. The glowing patterns on her armor shifted faster, moving through colors. She took another step forward, towering over him. When she spoke, her voice was deep and resonant. His computer translated in real time through his earpiece. "I am Captain Kareth of the Vrilith Empire. You will answer my questions. You will tell me everything about your species. You will reveal your weaknesses and your military capabilities." Tae-won nodded slowly. "I can do that, or at least I'll try. I'm not a military person, so I might not have all the technical details you want. But I'll be honest with you. Can I offer you something to drink first? I have water, or there's some coffee left, though it's probably cold by now." Kareth's eyes narrowed. The lights on her armor pulsed brighter. "You do not fear me." It was a statement, not a question. Tae-won thought about it for a moment. "Well, you're definitely intimidating. You're much bigger than me, clearly stronger, and you have weapons. But fear doesn't seem useful right now. You asked me to cooperate, and I'm cooperating. Should I be afraid?" The warrior stared at him for a long moment. Behind her, one of the other soldiers shifted position. Kirit H raised one hand, and the soldier froze. She stepped closer to Tae-won, so close he had to crane his neck to look up at her face. Her armor made soft clicking sounds as she moved. Every species shows fear when they first encounter the Vrillith. Fear is the proper response to superior force. You are either foolish or you are hiding your terror. Taewon considered this. I don't think I'm foolish, but I've been wrong before. As for hiding terror, well, my heart is definitely beating faster than normal. But that's just adrenaline. It helps humans focus in stressful situations. Can I ask you something? Kirith's patterns flickered. You are my prisoner. You do not ask questions. Right, sorry. It's a human habit. We're naturally curious. It gets us in trouble sometimes. Taewon looked past her at the docking tube and the massive warship beyond. Your ship is incredible, though. I was noticing the engine configuration through my windows before you arrived. The energy signature suggests some kind of spatial compression drive. We've theorized about that technology, but never built anything close to this scale. The warrior's armor pattern slowed. She turned her head to follow his gaze. You observed my ship's propulsion system. Hard to miss. The distortion field is visible even to human eyes when you're close enough. It's beautiful, actually. Like watching space itself bend. Taewon smiled again. I'm guessing your species has been traveling between stars for a long time. Earth only managed our first faster-than-light jump 3 years ago. We're very new to all of this. Kirith stepped back. She looked at him with what might have been confusion, though Taewon couldn't be sure. Alien expressions were hard to read. She gestured with one of her lower arms. You will come with me to the Crimson Talon. Your shuttle will be secured. Any attempt to escape or resist will result in immediate termination. Do you understand? I understand. Can I grab my personal bag? It has some food, my data pad, and a picture of my family. I'd like to keep that with me if possible. Kirith's patterns pulsed in a sequence Taewon hadn't seen before. After a moment, she nodded once. Retrieve your belongings. You have 30 seconds. Taewon quickly grabbed his bag from the storage compartment and slung it over his shoulder. He took one last look at his shuttle, wondering if he'd ever see it again. Then he followed Kirith into the docking tube. The interior of the Crimson Talon was darker than his shuttle, lit by the same red and orange light that pulsed on Vrillith armor. The corridors were wide and tall, built for beings much larger than humans. Taewon walked beside Kirith while 2 soldiers followed behind. He tried not to stare at everything but failed. Every surface, every panel, every junction was fascinating. This is amazing, he said quietly, more to himself than anyone else. Kira single quotes glanced down at him. You continue to show no fear. Taewon shrugged. I'm curious. When I'm curious, I forget to be afraid. My sister always said it would get me killed someday. She might be right. The warrior's patterns shifted again to that unfamiliar sequence. Taewon filed it away in his memory. Maybe he'd figure out what it meant eventually. They walked deeper into the warship, and Taewon couldn't shake the feeling that nothing was going the way Captain Kirith had expected. The detention level of the Crimson Talon smelled like metal and something else Taewon couldn't identify. Chemical cleaners, maybe? The walls were darker here, and the pulsing lights seemed angrier, flashing in sharp bursts rather than smooth waves. Kirith led him into a large circular room with a chair in the center. The chair looked built for someone much larger than him. Sit, Kirith commanded. Tae-1 climbed onto the chair. His feet dangled off the ground. This is built for your species, isn't it? I feel like a kid in a grown-up's chair. He tried to adjust himself to a more comfortable position. Kirith moved to a control panel on the wall. The other soldiers had left, closing the heavy door behind them. Now it was just the 2 of them in the interrogation chamber. She pressed several buttons, and the lights in the room began to shift. They moved through colors faster now, creating disorienting patterns. A low sound filled the air, almost below human hearing, making Taewon's chest vibrate. Tell me about Earth's military, Kirith said. Her voice echoed strangely in the room. Taewon rubbed his chest where the vibrations felt strongest. That's an interesting effect. Is it supposed to cause anxiety? The subsonic frequency is clever. We use something similar in crowd control back home, but this is more focused. He paused. Sorry, you asked about the military. We have armies and navies and air forces. They're divided by nation-states. We don't have a unified planetary military yet. There's talk about creating one now that we've met other species, but Earth politics moves slowly. The lights pulsed brighter. The sound grew deeper. Kirith's armor patterns matched the room's rhythm. How many warriors can Earth deploy? I honestly don't know the exact numbers. Maybe a few 100 million total if you count every nation. But most of them are equipped for fighting on Earth, not in space. Our space force is tiny. A dozen ships, maybe? None of them are as impressive as this one. Tae-won looked around the room. Is the temperature dropping? I'm starting to feel cold. Kirith touched more controls. The air grew colder. Frost began forming on the walls. You should be terrified. Every species breaks in this room. They beg, they cry. They tell me everything I want to know. You sit there asking questions about my equipment. Tae-won hugged himself for warmth. His breath came out in visible puffs. I don't know what you want me to say? Yes, I'm uncomfortable. The cold isn't pleasant, and those lights are giving me a headache. But I already told you I'd answer your questions honestly. I'm not hiding anything. Earth sent me to make contact with the Galactic Council. We want to join the larger community. That's the whole mission. The warrior moved closer. She loomed over him, all four arms spreading wide. Her armor patterns exploded in bright reds and oranges. The lights on her body flashed in rapid sequences. A smell filled the air, sharp and chemical. The sound in the room became almost painful. Fear May? Tae-won flinched at the volume and intensity. His heart pounded. But then he looked up at her carefully. Really looked. The patterns were beautiful in their complexity. Each light seemed to flow into the next in mathematical precision. Wow, he said quietly. That's incredible. Is it voluntary or does your body do it automatically? The color changes seem tied to emotion, but the patterns are too complex to be random. There must be some kind of biological programming. Kirith froze. Slowly, very slowly, her arms lowered. The patterns dimmed. She stared at him in silence for nearly a full minute. Then she turned and walked to the control panel. The lights returned to normal. The sound stopped. The temperature began rising back to comfortable levels. You are broken, she said finally. Something is wrong with your species. This should not be possible. Before Tae-won could respond, the door opened. Two soldiers entered, dragging someone between them. Tae-won jumped off the chair. His sister looked unharmed but annoyed. The soldiers released her, and she straightened her uniform. Ji-woo was 3 years older than Tae-won and had the same curious eyes. She looked at Kirith with open fascination. You must be Captain Kirith. My brother mentioned you on the communication they let us share. You're even more impressive in person. Kirith's patterns shifted to that unfamiliar sequence again. You were found hiding in the shuttle's cargo section. Ji-woo shrugged. I wasn't hiding. I was in the equipment bay checking the atmospheric processors when you boarded. I'm a xenobiologist. I was supposed to study alien environments when we reached the council. I guess I'm getting an early start. She pulled out a small device from her pocket. Would you mind if I took some readings? Your bioluminescent patterns are fascinating. I've never seen anything like them. The warrior looked from Ji-woo to Tae-won and back again. You are siblings? Yes, Tae-won confirmed. She's my older sister. Smarter than me, according to our parents. We're just different kinds of smart, Ji-woo corrected. She was already circling Kirith, studying her from different angles. May I ask about your species' evolution? The four arms suggest an arboreal ancestry, but the armor plating indicates defensive adaptations. That's an interesting combination. Kirith stood very still. You are my prisoners. Both of you. You do not study me. I study you. Wu stopped and looked apologetic. You're right. I'm sorry. Professional habit. When I see something new, I want to understand it. But I'm being rude. She moved to stand beside her brother. What would you like to know about us? The warrior touched her control panel again. A holographic display appeared in the air, showing images of destroyed cities and burning worlds. The Vrilith Empire has conquered 237 species. These are worlds that resisted. We crushed them. We will crush any who oppose us. Look at this and tell me you feel no fear. Tae-Won and Ji-Woo studied the images. Some showed battles. Others showed ruined buildings and scorched earth. The devastation was clear. Tae-Won felt his stomach tighten. These are real? You actually did this? Yes, Ji-Woo's face had gone pale, but she kept her voice steady. That's horrible. So many lives lost. Why did they resist? Because they were foolish. Because they thought they could win. They learned they could not. Tae-Won looked away from the images. We don't want to fight you. Earth isn't interested in resisting. We just want to exist in the galaxy alongside other species. We want to learn and trade and share knowledge. That's all. All species say this at first. Then they see opportunity for power. Then they challenge us. Then they burn. Kareth gestured at the images. This is the reality of the galaxy. The strong dominate. The weak submit or die. Where do humans fit? Ji-Woo and Tae-Won exchanged glances. Ji-Woo spoke first. We're definitely weak compared to you. You're stronger, your technology is centuries ahead of ours, and you have experience we lack. But we're adaptable. Humans survive by learning and changing. We've survived ice ages, plagues, wars, natural disasters. We're still here. Survival is not strength, Curate H said. Maybe not, Tae-Won agreed. But it's not weakness either. It's just different. The warrior dismissed the holographic images. She paced the room, her footsteps heavy. I have interrogated thousands of prisoners. They all break. Some quickly, some slowly, but they all break. They scream or beg or weep. You two ask scientific questions and have philosophical discussions. I do not understand. Wu smiled slightly. Would it help if we screamed? I could try, but it would feel forced. No, Kareth stopped pacing and faced them. I want to understand why you do not fear as others do. Tae-Won thought about it. We do feel fear. My heart was racing when you did the whole intimidation display earlier. The lights and sounds and smells affected me physically, but fear is just a feeling. It warns us about danger, but it doesn't control our choices. At least we try not to let it. That makes no sense. Fear exists to make you submit to greater threats. For some species, maybe, Ji-Woo said. For humans, fear exists to make us alert and ready. Our ancestors were prey animals once, a long time ago. Fear kept them alive long enough to become hunters. Now we carry both instincts. We know when to run and when to stand our ground. Kirith's patterns shifted through several sequences, some Tae-Won recognized and others he didn't. The warrior moved to the door and opened it. You will return to holding cells. Separate cells. I must consult with my strategist. As the soldiers came to escort them away, Ji-Woo called back, Captain Kareth? Thank you for not hurting us. I know you could have. The warrior didn't respond. She simply watched as the humans were led away, her armor patterns continuing their complex, silent dance. The arena deck was the largest open space Tae-Won had seen on the Crimson Talon. The ceiling stretched high above, and the floor was marked with various lines and circles that probably meant something in Vrilith combat culture. Around the edges, elevated platforms held watching soldiers. Tae-Won counted at least 50 of them, all with glowing armor patterns. They watched him silently as he entered. Curate H stood in the center of the arena. She wore different armor now, lighter and more mobile. All 4 of her arms were visible, muscled, and powerful. Behind her stood another Vrilith, slimmer than the others, with armor patterns that pulsed in deep blues and purples instead of reds and oranges. Human Tae-Won, Kareth's voice carried across the space. I have decided that words are insufficient. You say you are weak, yet you show no submission? This contradiction must be resolved. I challenge you to combat under Vrilith law. Taewon walked to the center slowly. He was very aware of how small he was compared to everyone in the room. I'm not a fighter. I don't know your combat styles. This doesn't seem fair. Life is not fair. The strong prosper. The weak perish. This is natural law. The blue and purple Vrilith stepped forward. I am Vethril, strategist of this vessel. Under our law, the challenged may choose the form of combat. Captain Kareth will adapt to any conditions you set. You cannot refuse, but you can decide how you will lose. Taewon rubbed his face with both hands. This was bad. He couldn't fight Kareth hand to hand. She'd crush him in seconds. But if he could choose the conditions, maybe there was a chance. His mind raced through possibilities. Then he remembered his grandfather's stories about hunting in the mountains. Okay, he said. I accept. But I want to change the rules. Not combat. A challenge of endurance. 3 tests. Running, breath control, and sustained effort. If I win even one test, you have to admit that humans aren't inferior. Just different. The watching soldiers made sounds that Taewon's earpiece didn't translate. Clicking and hissing noises that might have been surprise or mockery. Kareth's patterns brightened. You think you can outlast a Vrilith warrior in any physical test? I'm willing to find out. Kareth looked at Vethril. The strategist's patterns pulsed thoughtfully. This is acceptable under the law. The challenge is issued and answered. Let it begin. The first test was running. Vethril explained the rules. They would run along a marked path through the ship's corridors. The course was 5 kilometers long. First to complete it, they started together at a marked line. A soldier signaled the start and Kareth exploded forward with incredible speed. She moved like a hunting cat, all 4 limbs working together to propel her forward. Taewon started at a steady jog. Within 30 seconds, Kirat H was out of sight around a corner. The watching soldiers could track both runners on displays showing their positions. Taewon heard more of those clicking sounds as he maintained his pace. They probably thought he'd given up already. He focused on his breathing. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Steady rhythm? His grandfather had taught him to run like this in the mountains. The rabbit sprints and hides, the old man had said. But the wolf runs all day. After 2 kilometers, Taewon spotted Kareth ahead. She had slowed considerably. Her powerful sprinting muscles weren't built for distance. He kept his steady pace and gradually closed the gap. At 3 kilometers, he passed her. She tried to speed up, but her breathing was labored. Taewon heard the heavy sounds of her footsteps behind him. Getting farther away, he finished the 5 kilometers and stopped at the marked end line. His legs burned and his lungs ached, but he'd maintained the pace. 2 minutes later, Kirat H arrived. She was breathing hard, her armor patterns flickering irregularly. You won through trickery, she said between breaths. You ran slowly on purpose. I ran at the pace I could maintain, Taewon corrected. He was breathing hard too, but recovering faster than her. That's not trickery. That's strategy. They returned to the arena for the second test. Breath holding. Simple and direct. Vethril provided breathing masks connected to timers. They would inhale, remove the masks, and hold their breath. Longest time won. Kareth went first. She filled her lungs and removed her mask. The timer started. Taewon watched her carefully. At 1 minute, her pattern started pulsing faster. At 2 minutes, small tremors ran through her arms. At 2 minutes and 40 seconds, she gasped and grabbed her mask, breathing deeply. Taewon's turn. He used an old diving technique his sister had taught him. Breathe slowly and deeply several times first, oxygenating the blood. Then hold. He watched the timer. At 2 minutes, he felt the first urge to breathe. He ignored it. At 3 minutes, his chest burned. He focused on staying calm, slowing his heart rate. At 4 minutes, Gao's voice came through a speaker. She'd been watching from somewhere. Taewon, don't hurt yourself. You've made your point. He held for another 30 seconds, then took the mask. 4 minutes, 30 seconds. The arena was completely silent. Kirith stared at him. How? Humans evolved near water? We learned to dive. We're not the best, but we're pretty good at holding our breath. Taewon sat down on the floor, feeling dizzy. Give me a minute before the last test. The final test was sustained effort. Vethril brought out heavy containers that needed to be moved from one side of the arena to the other. Just lifting and carrying over and over until one of them gave up. This went on for an hour. Kirit H lifted heavier containers, but she tired quickly. Her species was built for short, powerful bursts of activity. Tae-1 lifted lighter loads but never stopped moving. Lift, carry, set down, return. Lift, carry, set down, return. Again and again and again, after 90 minutes, Kirith dropped a container and fell to one knee. Her armor patterns were barely visible, all her energy devoted to just staying upright. Enough, she gasped. I cannot continue. Tae-1 set down his container and went to her. He offered his hand. Are you okay? She looked at his hand for a long moment, then took it with one of her lower arms. He helped pull her to her feet, though she did most of the work. They stood there, both exhausted, both covered in sweat. You defeated me, Kirith said quietly. In front of my entire crew? No, Tae-1 said. We're just built for different things. You're faster and stronger. I can go longer. Neither is better. They're just different. Giwoo's voice came through the speakers again. Can I explain something? If everyone's interested? Vethril activated a communication panel. Speak, human Giwoo. Humans evolved as persistence hunters. We couldn't outrun our prey, so we followed them for days until they collapsed from exhaustion. Our bodies are designed for endurance, not power. We sweat to cool down, our legs are efficient for distance, and our breathing can adjust to long efforts. It's not magic. It's just evolution. One of the watching soldiers spoke up, surprising everyone. Her voice was younger than the others. This changes everything we know about threat assessment. Kirith looked up at the soldier. Explain. The young soldier, Bara, stood straighter. We assess threats based on immediate power. Speed, strength, weapons capacity. We never considered endurance as a strategic advantage. If humans can outlast us in any extended conflict, our dominance doctrine has a flaw. Silence filled the arena. Tae-1 could feel the tension. He'd just proven that the Vrilith weren't unbeatable, at least not in every way. That realization was spreading through the watching soldiers. Kirith's patterns slowly brightened again. She stood fully upright, recovering her composure. Human Tae-1, you have won this challenge. As agreed, I acknowledge that humans are not inferior. Merely different. The words seemed difficult for her to say, but this creates new problems. I must report to Vrilith High Command about your species. What I report will determine Earth's fate. Tae-1 felt his exhaustion deepen with new worry. What will you tell them? I do not know yet. Come, we will talk in my quarters. You have earned that much? She looked around at her crew. All of you return to duties. We will discuss this later. As the soldiers filed out, Ba-Ra passed close to Tae-1. She spoke quietly, her translator barely picking it up. Thank you. You showed us something important today. Tae-1 nodded, too tired to respond. He followed Kirith out of the arena, wondering what he'd actually accomplished. He'd won the challenges, but had he made things better or worse for Earth? Kirith's quarters were surprisingly plain. Tae-1 had expected trophies or weapons on the walls, but instead found simple furniture and a few data displays. The captain gestured to a seat that adjusted to his smaller size when he sat down. She remained standing, looking out a large window at the stars. In 15 years of service, I have never lost a challenge, she said without turning around. I have broken prisoners from 73 different species. I have led boarding actions on 47 hostile vessels. My record is perfect. Was perfect. Tae-1 shifted uncomfortably. I didn't want to humiliate you. I was just trying to prove a point. You succeeded. She finally turned to face him. Her armor patterns were dim, almost gray. I have spent the last 3 hours reviewing recordings of our interactions. Every moment since I boarded your shuttle, I have consulted with Vethril and accessed our xenological databases. Do you know what I discovered? What? That everything I was taught about assessing other species is incomplete. We measure immediate threat capacity, combat effectiveness, technological level. We create a hierarchy of dominance. But we never considered that strength could be something other than power. She sat down across from him. Tell me about human history. How long has your species existed? Tae-Won thought back to his school lessons. Modern humans? About 300,000 years. Maybe longer, depending on how you define modern. And in that time you faced extinction events? Several? Ice ages, supervolcano eruptions, climate shifts. There was a genetic bottleneck about 70,000 years ago. Our population dropped to maybe 10,000 individuals. We almost didn't make it. Kirith's S patterns pulsed slowly. But you survived. We're stubborn. And we work together. Humans alone are weak. But humans in groups can accomplish almost anything. We call it cooperation. The Vrilith understand cooperation, Kirith said. We have military units and command structures. That's organization, not quite the same thing. I mean cooperation like families helping each other survive winters. Like strangers sharing food during famines. Like communities rebuilding after disasters. We're social animals. We bond with each other. Sometimes we even bond with other species. We domesticated wolves into dogs, and they've been our companions for thousands of years. The captain stood and paced. This concept of bonding. It is a weakness. Emotional attachment creates vulnerability, does it? Tae-Won leaned forward. What about your crew? Do you care about them? I am responsible for them. That's not what I asked. If one of them died, would you feel anything? Kirit H stopped pacing. Her patterns flickered. I would feel that I had failed in my duty. But would you miss them? Would you remember them as individuals? The warrior was silent for a long moment. Bo-Ra joined my crew 2 years ago. She is young and asks too many questions. She challenges protocols. She irritates Vethril constantly. If she died, I would... She paused. I would grieve. Yes, I would miss her. Then you understand bonding. You just don't call it that. Tae-Won smiled. It's not a weakness. It's what makes survival meaningful. What's the point of being strong if you're alone? A chime sounded. Vethril's voice came through a communication panel. Captain, I have compiled the research you requested on human evolutionary traits. The data is troubling. Send it to my display, Kirith ordered. A holographic screen appeared, filled with text and images. Tae-Won couldn't read most of it, but he recognized pictures of Earth. Vethril's voice continued. Humans evolved on a planet with extreme environmental variation. Temperature swings of 70 degrees between seasons in some regions. Predators in every ecosystem. Limited natural defenses. They survived through cognitive adaptability and social cooperation. More images appeared. Humans running. Humans climbing. Humans swimming. Their physical capabilities are generalized. Not the strongest, fastest, or most durable, but competent in all areas. This generalization, combined with their endurance capacity, makes them uniquely adaptable. Kirith studied the data. This explains their psychological resistance to intimidation. They evolved with constant environmental threats. Fear became a tool for awareness rather than paralysis. Correct, Vethril confirmed. Additionally, their social bonding creates psychological resilience. Humans derive strength from group identity. Isolating them is less effective than with other species. They maintain hope through belief in their community. Tae-Won watched them discuss humans like he wasn't there. It was strange hearing his species analyzed so clinically, but also fascinating. Another chime. Vethril's tone changed, becoming more formal. Captain, we have received orders from High Command regarding the humans. Kirith S. patterns flashed bright red. Display them. Text appeared on the screen. Tae-Won couldn't read the Vrilith language, but he saw Kirith S. reaction. All four of her hands clenched into fists. Her armor went almost completely dark. They order elimination, she said flatly. Both humans are to be executed. Earth's location is to be reported for future conquest. The species is deemed unsuitable for galactic integration. Tae-Won's blood went cold. They want to kill us? Why? Because you represent an unknown factor. The Vrilith Empire maintains control through predictable power dynamics. You do not fit the model. Therefore, you are a threat. Kirith dismissed the display. I have 24 hours to comply with these orders. Will you? Tae-Won tried to keep his voice steady. Will you kill us? The warrior looked at him for a long time. 3 days ago I would have. Without hesitation. I have executed prisoners before when ordered. It is part of my duty? And now? Now I question whether my duty is correct. She sat down heavily. You asked me earlier what I am afraid of. I gave you an answer. That everything I believe is wrong? After today, after our challenge, after reviewing your history, I am more afraid than ever. Because I think I might be right to be afraid. A soft knock on the door. Kirit H. called permission to enter. Bara stepped inside, her patterns pulsing nervously. Captain, forgive the intrusion. I needed to speak with you. What is it? The young soldier glanced at Tae-Won, then back to her captain. The crew is talking. About the challenge. About the humans. Many are questioning our assessment protocols. Some are saying we should not follow High Command's orders. Kirith's S patterns flared. That is dangerous talk. Disobeying orders is punishable by death? I know. But is following wrong orders not also wrong? Dora's patterns steadied as she spoke, gaining confidence. You taught us to think strategically. To assess threats accurately? If our assessment model is flawed, should we not correct it rather than eliminate evidence of the flaw? Kirit H. stood and moved to the window again. Outside, stars drifted past slowly. If I refuse these orders, I become a traitor. My crew becomes complicit. We will all be executed. If you follow these orders, Tae-Won said quietly, you kill 2 people who never threatened you. And you report Earth's location so your empire can kill billions more? Is that really maintaining order? Or is it just murder? The silence stretched on. Biora remained at attention. Kirith stared at the stars. Tae-Won waited, his heart pounding. Finally, Kirith spoke. I have made my decision. But first, I need to ask you something, Tae-Won. If I let you live, if I take you to the Galactic Council as originally intended, what will humans do with their freedom? Tae-Won stood up. We'll do what we've always done. We'll learn. We'll explore. We'll make friends with whoever wants to be friends. We'll help where we can. We'll build things and create things and try to leave the universe a little better than we found it. We're not perfect. We make mistakes. But we try. And if threatened? If the Vrilith Empire comes for Earth? We'll defend ourselves. Not because we want to fight, but because we want to survive. You've seen what we're capable of. Imagine what we could do if we had years to prepare instead of hours. Kirith turned from the window. Her patterns were bright again, but different from before. More complex. Summon Vethril to the bridge. Prepare the ship to depart for the Galactic Council station. Inform the crew that we will be escorting the human diplomatic mission as originally intended. The Rose patterns flashed in surprise. The orders from High Command will be officially reported as completed. The humans attempted escape and were lost in a malfunction of their shuttle systems. Tragic but unavoidable. Kirith looked at Tae-Won. Unofficially, you will remain my guests until we reach the council. Then you will speak for your species. And I will speak in support of your integration. You're lying to your superiors? Tae-Won said. Why? Because I am afraid, Kirith said simply. And fear exists to make me alert and ready. Right now, I am alert to the possibility that the Vrilith Empire is wrong, and I am ready to find out if there is a better way. But Aura's patterns shifted to something that might have been joy. She saluted and left quickly. Tae-Won let out a breath he didn't know he'd been holding. Thank you. Do not thank me yet? The Galactic Council may still reject your species. And if the Vrilith High Command discovers my deception, we will all face execution. Kirith's patterns pulsed steadily. But you have taught me something important. Sometimes the strongest choice is not the most obvious one. The journey to the Galactic Council station took 6 days. Tae-Won and Ji-Woo were given proper quarters instead of cells. Kirit H allowed them to move freely through certain sections of the ship. The crew's reactions were mixed. Some soldiers avoided the humans completely. Others, especially younger ones like Bio-Ra, asked endless questions on the 3rd day. Tae-Won found Kirith on an observation deck. She stood alone, watching space flow past. He approached carefully. Can I join you? You do not need to ask permission anymore. You are a guest now, not a prisoner. He stood beside her, both of them looking at the stars. Do you ever wonder what's out there? Beyond what you've explored? The Vrilith have mapped 342 systems. We have encountered 237 species. The galaxy is vast, but we know our territory. But there's always more, isn't there? More systems. More species. More things you haven't seen. Tae-Won smiled. That's what excites me about all this. Not the politics or the territory, just the possibility of discovery. Kirith's patterns pulsed slowly. You are strange creatures. You face potential extinction by coming to the council, yet you speak of excitement. Well, being scared and being excited aren't that different biologically. Both make your heart race. Might as well choose to be excited. He glanced at her. Have you thought about what you'll say to the council? I will present the facts. Human capabilities, human psychology, human potential. Then I will recommend integration. They won't like that. From what you've told me, the council usually follows Vrilith recommendations. If you contradict your own empire's orders, it'll cause problems. Yes, it will. She turned to look at him. Are all humans willing to risk themselves for what they believe is right? Not all of us, but enough. My sister and I volunteered for this mission knowing it might be one way. Earth needed someone to make first contact. We raised our hands. He paused. What about you? Are all Vrilith willing to risk themselves like you're doing? I do not know. I hope to find out. The ship emerged from faster-than-light travel near a massive structure. The Galactic Council station was enormous, built in rings around a small moon. Hundreds of ships orbited it, representing dozens of different species. Tae-Won pressed his face to the window like a child. It's beautiful. Ji-Woo joined them on the observation deck. They're hailing us. Someone named Hyeon-Soo wants to speak with us. Tae-Won straightened quickly. That's Ambassador Hyeon-Soo. He was supposed to meet us at the council. He must have been waiting here. Kirit H opened a communication channel. A human face appeared on the display. He was older, maybe 60, with gray hair and sharp eyes. He looked at Tae-Won and Ji-Woo with obvious relief. Thank God you're both alive. When we lost your signal, we thought the worst. We're okay, Ambassador. We were detained by the Vrilith, but Captain Kirith has been honorable. She's escorting us to the council now. Hyeon-Soo's expression became more guarded. Captain Kirit H? I've heard your reputation. Should I be concerned about your intentions? Kirith stepped into view of the camera. Ambassador, I intend to speak in support of humanity's integration into the Galactic Council. I have studied your species extensively. You will be a valuable addition? The ambassador's eyebrows rose. That's unexpected. The Vrilith Empire doesn't usually support new species. Most species do not demonstrate the unique capabilities humans possess. You are an exception. After arranging docking procedures, the call ended. Ji-Woo looked at Kirith. He didn't trust you, would you? If your species encountered a more powerful empire that had conquered hundreds of others? Fair point. The Crimson Talon docked at the station. Kirith assembled an escort of 5 soldiers, including Bio Ra and Vethril. They met Ambassador Hyansu at the airlock. He was accompanied by 4 human security personnel, who looked very alert and very outgunned. Hyansu bowed slightly to Kirith. Captain, thank you for bringing our people safely. It is my honor. Shall we proceed to the council chamber? The council chamber was overwhelming. It was a massive circular room with seating for hundreds. Representatives from dozens of species already occupied their positions. The architecture accommodated everything from small creatures to beings even larger than the Vrillith. At the center was a raised platform where speakers addressed the assembly. The Vrillith delegation occupied a prominent position. When Kirith entered with the humans, several Vrillith warriors stood abruptly. One of them, with armor patterns more elaborate than anyone Tae-Won had seen, spoke in a booming voice. Captain Kirith H., you were ordered to eliminate the humans. Why do they still live? Kirith's patterns flared bright red. Commander Rathul, I am here to present evidence that challenges our assessment protocols. These humans deserve to be heard. You disobeyed direct orders. You are a traitor. I am a warrior who seeks truth. If our protocols are flawed, should we not correct them? The chamber erupted in noise. Various species talked among themselves. The Vrillith delegation looked furious. A being made of what looked like living crystal called for order. The noise gradually subsided. I am Magistrate Kelver. I oversee council proceedings. Captain Kirith, you make a serious accusation about Vrillith protocols. This must be addressed formally. You will present your evidence. Then the human ambassador will speak. Then we will deliberate. Kirith H. moved to the central platform. She activated a display and began showing data. Human endurance capabilities. Human adaptability. Human psychological resilience. She explained the challenge in her arena. She showed footage of Tae-Won's reactions during interrogation. For 2 centuries, the Vrillith have assessed threats based on immediate power. This human is weaker than me in every measurable combat metric. Yet he defeated me in tests of endurance. More importantly, he showed me that strength comes in forms we never considered. If we eliminate every species that does not fit our model, we eliminate potential rather than threat. Commander Rathul stood. You speak of potential. I speak of risk. Humans are unpredictable. Unpredictability threatens order. Order through fear is not stability. It is suppression waiting to break. Kirith's patterns pulsed steadily. I have served the Vrillith Empire for 15 years. I have never questioned orders before. I question these because following them would be strategically foolish. Humans can survive what would destroy other species. They can outlast what would break other species. If they become our enemies, they will be formidable. If they become our allies, they will be valuable. The choice is ours. She stepped down. Hyansu moved to the platform. He looked around at the assembled species. Members of the Galactic Council, Earth comes to you in peace. We know we are young by galactic standards. We know we are weak compared to many here. But we offer something perhaps more valuable than strength. We offer perspective. He activated his own display showing images of Earth. Our planet has nearly killed us dozens of times. We have nearly killed ourselves dozens more. We have fought wars that devastated continents. We have created weapons that could end all life on our world. We have faced extinction again and again. We are still here because we learned to adapt. We learned to cooperate. We learned that survival requires more than power. Images changed to show humans helping each other. Disaster relief. Medical care. Scientific cooperation. We are not perfect. We have much to learn. But we learn quickly. We change. We grow. We bond with each other and with other species. Give us a chance to prove we can do the same in the galactic community. The Bio-Ra stood in the Vrillith section. Commander Rathul turned to her, patterns flashing warning colors. But Bio-Ra spoke anyway. I am Junior Officer B.O. Ra. I serve under Captain Kirat H. I have observed the humans closely. Everything my captain said is true? I believe we should accept them. Other young Vrilla stood. Then soldiers from other species. The crystal being, Magistrate Kelver, raised an appendage. The council will deliberate. All present will wait. The next hour was tense. The humans sat with Kareth and her crew in a waiting area. Commander Rathel approached with 2 heavily armed soldiers. Captain, you will return to the Vrillith homeworld for court-martial. You have committed treason. I have committed strategy, Kareth replied. If that is treason, perhaps the Empire needs new definitions. Before Rathel could respond, the doors opened. Magistrate Kelver emerged. The council has reached a decision. All parties returned to the chamber. They filed back in. The tension was suffocating. Magistrate Kelver spoke from the center platform. The Galactic Council has voted on humanity's petition for integration. Of 47 member species, 32 voted in favor, 12 voted against, 3 abstained. Humanity is accepted into the Galactic Council with provisional status. You will have 10 years to demonstrate your value as members. Relief flooded through Taewon. Yiru grabbed his hand. Hyensu stood straighter. Around the chamber, reactions varied. Some species made approving sounds. Others looked displeased. Magistrate Kelver continued. Captain Kirat H., your actions have sparked significant debate. The Council recognizes that you violated Vrillith orders. However, you also provided evidence that changed many minds. We leave your fate to your own people. But we note that your courage has been observed. Commander Rathel S. patterns were pure angry red. She will face justice. An older Vrillith in the delegation stood.